You think I'll let you zone?
Baka.
Hey guys, welcome to another underrated video, but this time I jump a generation ahead to the Nintendo Gamecube Ball systems, where Shiggy and Nintendo tried to compete with power and weird design choices like GameCube discs, which were Nintendo's proprietary answer to bootleg games, as they are mini DVDs essentially, and never really caught on with the storage capacity, which was like 1.2 gigs for a single layer and 5.2 for a double layer disc. Then there was the fact that it looked like a lunch pail, and it came with a built-in handle to carry around, but it might be the reason why it didn't sell that much because it was tagged as a kiddie console back then. With that, the GameCube had a bunch of classics, the Double Dashes, the Metroid Primes, among others. It also had a goldmine of excellent games that never got that much marketing, so today we're gonna go and see some underrated games on the Nintendo GameCube. Mind you, this isn't a top list, so the games are in random order. Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights is a platformer developed by Heavy Iron Studios and published by THQ for the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox. It was released May of 2002 in North America around the time of the live-action movie, and later that year in PAL regions. It was the first Scooby-Doo video game of the 6th generation consoles, with the PS2 version making the Greatest Hits collection in 2003. You take control of Scooby-Doo as he tries to find his friends, captured in a mystic manner. The story is set up like an episode of the show. Daphne's close friend, Holly Graham, has asked the Mystery Inc. crew to help her investigate the disappearance of her uncle, Professor Alexander Graham. Shaggy and Scooby decline searching the place when every time they do, ghosts, ghouls, and monsters are always waiting for them. But this time, they're waiting in the car. As the rest of the gang go with Holly outside, Scooby finds Scooby snacks to eat, but Shaggy tells him to save him some, and then he goes to a tree to take the box, but it was a trap all along, and Scooby has to save his friends from whatever nefarious plan is happening. Night of 100 Frights is a platformer, and Scooby's job is to search the manor for his friends while solving who's behind everything. There's around 12 main areas of the game Scooby will need to search, with secret shortcuts he can unlock with gadgets he gets, upgrades like springs that allow Scooby to double jump, and an American football helmet that allows him to ram bigger monsters that he can't jump on. While playing this, I did love that they tried to put TV laugh tracks in the background when Scooby does something funny like running into walls, and the instrumental of the theme song when Scooby's just going through the levels. Not to mention, you will see classic enemies during your adventure that Scooby will tell you who they are when he sees them. Give it a try, as it's a fun Scooby-Doo game that the IP doesn't get very many games anymore after the 6th generation.
Seafood! Fried clams! Runa fish! Cracked crabs! Runa salad! Jumbo shrimp! Runa sushi!
Viewtiful Joe is a side-scrolling beat-em-up created by Hideki Kamiya. It is primarily developed and published by Capcom with defunct Clover Studio. The game's story is about Joe, an avid moviegoer nerd whose girlfriend Sylvia is kidnapped when she wants to mess around instead of watch a movie. During the film, with Joe's favorite superhero, Captain Blue, after the villain takes Sylvia when he defeats Captain Blue, Joe finds himself in Movieland. The group behind everything is the villainous Jado. After getting a special V-Watch from Captain Blue, Joe transforms into Viewtiful Joe and sets out to rescue her. The gameplay of Viewtiful Joe is really cool, as it's a beat-em-up where Joe has to beat all the enemies on screen to progress. Joe has to punch, kick, and dodge his way through Jado minions. To help this Takanotsu nerd are his watch's powers, which are special effects like bullet time and mach speed. But be careful, as these powers require the VX gauge that runs out the more you use them, and the transformation is tied to it as well, so when it runs out he turns back into Joe, and as a negative consequence to that, when he is regular Joe, his attack is halved until the recharge. You can increase the meter with VFX film tokens you can find around each of the levels. Every upgrade is around 50, so it should be easy enough for you to keep the punches flying. And you'll need it because you'll need to master his powers to solve puzzles and boss battles as well. Viewtiful Joe is really fun for a beat 'em up made by Capcom. As a side note, it was also ported to PS2 later on with an added feature to play as Dante from Devil May Cry as an extra character, so you have more choices than Joe or Sylvia to play as. I think you can play as Captain Blue in some of the games too, but not so sure about this one.
Joe, is this your idea of a date movie? I had a more romantic time eating popcorn in the lobby. Joe, honey, oh, why don't you show me some off-screen action?
Whoa, Sylvia! Cut it out!
Here's an odd game that Sonic Team of all teams decided to make a new IP that centers around a kid in a rubber chicken suit that needs to help sentient chickens from evil crows. Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg is a platformer developed by Sonic Team and published by Sega for the Gamecube in 2003. Oddly enough, a PC port was made of Billy Hatcher that was only released in Europe in 2006 by Mindscape. The story is as crazy as you think it is, as Dark Raven and his crow army attack Morningland and the chickens, eventually plunging it into eternal darkness. While on another planet, Billy is late meeting his friends because he overslept. Two crows that are looming over dive at a chick, and as they're about to finish it off, Billy intervenes, saving the baby chicken by fending the crows off with a stick. The chick suddenly begins to grow, transporting Billy and his friends to Morningland, with Billy ending up in the forest village. The gameplay is fast, but only when Billy has an egg. As a matter of fact, Billy can't do much without an egg. He can bounce, jump, dash, dunk, and slam eggs into enemies. One of the mechanics that was put off by a lot was the creature mechanic that helps solve puzzles. To get creatures that help Billy on his journey to bring back the sun, you have to hatch them by killing enemies and feeding them food until they're big enough to hatch from said eggs. And then Billy gets them out with a rooster call. There are like 73 creatures to hatch in the game, but that's not all, as with the regular blue spotted eggs, they sometimes give Billy hats that he can wear for effects. Billy Hatcher really wants you to complete level missions as fast as you can, as the levels themselves have an entry level where Billy has to save and hatch an elder rooster of the area. Then get as many collectibles as you can to make your progress as easy as you can make it. I remember this game very well because it was at every Nintendo GameCube kiosk and Target in my area. Never got it because I didn't like the premise of being a chicken boy hatching eggs to platform, but now giving this a spin, it has really surprised me with how fun it can be once you know the rules. So if you want to give this a try, just know it's kind of clunky, but very charming. Wario World is a 2003 platformer developed by Treasure and published by Nintendo. The player controls our hero that's better than Mario in every way, as he attempts to regain his treasure and castle from the evil sentient gem that he decided to find, the Black Jewel. The gameplay sees Wario progressing through this series of 3D linear levels in a bid to find collectibles and defeat enemies in order to progress. The story is very short, as Wario is enjoying his newly built castle that he filled with treasures from past adventures he found them in. An evil gem called Black Jewel that was hidden amongst Wario's treasures suddenly awakens and takes over his castle. Black Jewel turns Wario's treasure into monsters and transforms the castle into 4 worlds. Wario travels through these worlds, recovering his treasure and rescuing the Spritelings, who were the creatures that had sealed Black Jewel away in the past because of its power. World's gameplay is very cool as he punches and pile drives his way to getting his treasure back. Wario goes through linear levels with puzzles and platforming challenges to solve, like trapdoors to get jewels to clear the current level. Wario gains money from his enemies that he defeats. Speaking of which, if Wario wants to pull off a wrestling move, you can, as Wario can grab, pile drive and spin, and throw enemies for combos that effectively show how much money they will drop. Sometimes you'll need to master a move to progress in a level. Throw the move switches for gates. The quirks in Wario games is replaying a level if you missed a collectible to complete it, so you'll be sent back to the beginning to search all over again. The only downside I saw with this game is that it was kind of short with only about 4 worlds to play in, but man was it fun, and kind of sad that types of games Wario gets now are just mini games. If you have some time and want to try something different that is connected to Mario, very loosely might I add, give Wario World a try. Chibi-Robo Plug-in-to Adventure is a platform adventure game that was developed by Skip Limited and published by Nintendo for the Gamecube. It was released in Japan in 2005 and in North America and Europe the following year. It was originally conceived as a point-and-click adventure game, but then it was put on a development hold until Shigeru Miyamoto himself gained interest in Chibi-Robo, then helped overhaul its production into what we see today. You take the role of Chibi-Robo, a small helper robot owned by the Sandersons, goes around navigating the household and collecting happy points by completing various tasks from housework to solving problems of the Sandersons family, the living toys at their household. Though Chibi-Robo has to be very careful because you have to be mindful of your own battery. It depletes on every action of your patrols. One thing I do like about this intro is that once Chibi-Robo is introduced to the Sandersons, the wife doesn't like Chibi-Robo because the father bought Chibi without her say, and it cost a lot, and it was just for her daughter's birthday present, which in retrospect wasn't really for her, it was for him because he really wanted a Chibi-Robo. So he ended up sleeping on the couch for the first 2 days of the game. Yeah, I found that kind of funny. Chibi-Robo, to get happy points to progress in the story, you need to help around the house and solve problems for your owners and the talking toys that live there. Most of the time you'll be cleaning and fixing things that you come across like trash. You can store a lot of trash as he moves through the house and will get happiness points when he throws them away in the actual trash can, or by cleaning using the father's toothbrush to get rid of the grime and paw marks on the floor. You'll need to interact or try to see what Chibi can do to find a way to higher locations. Be careful of your battery as every action costs power, but luckily you can recharge at outlets if you make it there in time. Though there are upgrades you can get to increase your battery time in between charges, amongst other things you can get to solve puzzles. And you are on a set timer, kinda, where certain events will happen at certain times of the day, being morning or night, whether or not you need to actually interact with a certain character to progress through the story of that particular scenario. So just be mindful of what you're doing. Most of the time you're just multitasking as Chibi-Robo, trying to please your owners, the Sandersons, which is cute that you live to please and to see other people happy and help them along with their day-to-day needs. There were two interesting things I saw playing Chibi-Robo. The daughter loves frogs a lot, like a lot, as she will mostly ribbit to Chibi when talking to him, which was sweet. And the action figure Space Hunter Drake Redcrest, who was really cool and funny. I thought he was an enemy at first, so I avoided him for a while until he didn't attack me when I came by him. Then I found out he was a superhero and gave me his suit. It also comes with explosions, but it costs power to use them, because I really wanted to use it a lot, because doing those action poses like a real Japanese superhero was really funny. But once I saw that it cost battery power, I kind of stopped after a while. But the suits are kind of cool that Chibi can also get. If you complete objectives, Chibi can have costumes that he can wear. The game is really cozy as you just help the Sandersons with their daily lives to see them smile. If you like games like this, then give it a shot, as it was released on the Switch Online Gamecube expansion recently. Started this list, I only knew Custom Robo as that cool robot arena game that would play at the Walmart Gamecube kiosk, but come to find out that it was a series and started on the Nintendo 64 in '99 in Japan. Yeah, most of the series is Japan exclusive, with the West getting Custom Robo on the Gamecube in 2004. The plot of this robot RPG is that the player, whose dad has just disappeared for no reason at all, but before he leaves you will get a watch and told to keep it safe. There is a time jump to the present and you suddenly receive a letter stating that your dad has died. In honor of your dad's wishes, you become a Robo Commander. You set out to do just so despite knowing nothing about Robos and the fact that your living expenses from your father are running really low as well. You eventually manage to join up with a group of bounty hunters known as the Steel Hearts, where he meets Ernest, Harry, and Marcia. The whole premise of people fighting with robots instead of just using a gun or a knife when they make a Holocene is that this world was attacked by a powerful entity known as Haru. Haru came to possess a child's toy. That toy was similar to a Robo themselves, and by popularizing Robo battling, the government gave the people a way to fight Haru. After a while, it was soon damaged enough to be driven into dormancy for a long period of time, but now has awoken. Gameplay is pretty fun, as it can technically be classified as an action RPG because the way the Robos battle is in the Holocene, where they can freely move about the area. To get stronger, you have to defeat enemies to potentially get new parts to put on your Robo Ray 1. And the Robo is really customizable, meaning you can switch out almost all the parts and even recolor them to make that Robo yours. Before each battle, you get to see your opponent and even get to see the tactics they will use against you, so you can plan accordingly. I wish more custom Robos came to the main console instead of the portable ones at the time, with the next game in the franchise was for the Nintendo DS. The one thing that stuck with me was the intro to the story, where there is no voice acting at all, but they do have sound effects. So the part with the dad suddenly leaving sounds like he's abandoning you after you get the watch. You just hear tires screeching and a vroom sound effect, and it just cracked me up every time. because the hero can't even fully remember his dad besides that scene and the watch he gave him. So give it a try if you're into model building, because the fights can be really fun and broken when you get the best parts for your Robo. That should do it for some underrated GameCube games that you can play if you got tired of Mario Sunshine or Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the millionth time. Note that these aren't top 5s or anything, just games that I've tried and liked. That being said, I'll come back to the GameCube later, as I might venture into the Xbox or Dreamcast next. But until then, stay gold, and I'll see you guys in the next video.